Good afternoon, everyone. So, are you guys ready for the next lecture? Yes? Um, a little bit more enthusiasm. Uh, People who are sitting at the back, if they can come at front, like if you can join us in the front, it would be good. So, this lecture is going to concentrate on the aspect of AI and trauma. Yesterday, we discussed Nolan, and while going through that discussion, some of you raised some interesting points regarding technology. Uh, Om Prakash sir is here. He raised a very valid point regarding the use of ChatGPT. So I believe that this lecture is going to cover some of that, if not all. Now the first question comes, what is this AI? Before we go to the aspect of trauma, we should understand what this AI is. So I would like to make this lecture a little bit more interactive than let's have more of an open discussion. So before um I move and I define AI and then I move on to the different aspects of AI and trauma, do the analysis. What is your opinion on AI? Anybody? Anybody? Is there somebody like who is working on technology related something, doing their PhD on, like there is, my research scholar is here, uh, but still, anybody who, or maybe somebody who might be thinking of doing something in relation to AI? Or what is your understanding of AI? Everybody uses AI these days. You use WhatsApp, so there is like Meta's AI is there. Everybody now, they uh, use ChatGPT. You know. So, any opinion? No opinions? Nothing? Please.
So based on my of my understanding on AI, I think AI, as the name goes, artificial intelligence, is a form of supercomputing in you know I don't know much about IT and stuff, but it is based on algorithms and patterns based off of previous patterns and algorithms, and all of this, the patterns and algorithms that it collects from your previous prompts or previous searches or previous data, it based on it might sort of develop it might be able to use information or retrieve information using the previous data. I think just like ChatGPT, right? It takes your previous prompts or whatever you want from it. It takes the keywords from it, and then it sort of retrieves information from the internet as a whole, and then it gives it to you in a way that is tailored to your understanding. So for example, if you tell an AI to explain a certain topic like a 5-year-old, it will retrieve information in that way and tailor it to your preference. That's what I
Very good observation. And I'm going to use some of those things in this lecture as well. She used the term tailoring, tailoring to your needs. So that's what like most people like these days, they get confused because of the films that they see, the novels that they read on AI. They believe that it is going to be something of an artificial companion. Maybe it might replace humans. It might do that in future, but it won't be doing in the sense of the way humans replace humans. It is going to be something of that there's a machine that understands your need, because like we as humans, we need comfort. So this machine, technology, algorithm, it can provide us that comfort because it tailors itself to our need. Okay. So when this artificial intelligence was first like brought to the fore, there was this one conference that happened in 1956. So people, they came together, John McCarthy and his companions, they came with this particular term, artificial intelligence. And while defining, the purpose was not to like to replace humans per se, but to develop technology in the sense that machine can do everything. Everything can be quantified in the sense that it can help humans do those things better. To externalize memory, to externalize human action, things that humans put, they concentrate upon, they work on, and it takes time. Machine could do it a little better and much faster. So on that, Stuart Russell also says like that AI not necessarily mean that when we deal with AI that it is going to do everything good or bad or right or wrong, but it will do all of those things much faster. Even if like it is making wrong decisions, it will make those decisions much faster than humans do. So this was not like the first time when people sort of played with the idea of machine gaining intelligence. Even before that, Alan Turing, he wrote this particular paper, Computing Machinery and Intelligence, but he didn't use the term artificial intelligence, although like computing machinery, like all these terminologies are here, intelligence is here, but he never used artificial. So what is so artificial about this intelligence? So if you go a little back and you see this definition of artificial, so it comes from Latin, as it is written here, like in Latin, artificialis means of or belonging to art, and artificium is a work of art, but also a skill, theory, or system. The Latin ars corresponds to the Greek techne, and artifex is both a craftsman or artist, but also a schemer or a mastermind. These connotations persist today and underlie one of the main anxieties around AI, that it is fooling us into thinking it is something it is not. Now our worry basically comes from here, that it can fool us, that okay, it is something which it is not. It can be a friend which it is not. It can be a companion which it is not. At times, like yesterday, somebody said from here that a 5-year-old kid, if interacting with say Alexa or some smart device, so they are not able to comprehend that it's not a human. They actually believe that they are basically interacting with a friend. So this talking to a friend basically comes from this idea, again comes from Alan Turing, Turing's imitation game. You people must have heard of this imitation game. So what is it about? So it's about that there's a machine, there's a woman, and there's a man. Okay. So the woman is competing with the machine. So the person is in some room else, and he is providing the questionnaire is asking to both of them, and both of them are generating, like machine and the woman, they are generating the response. Now what happens here, like all that is fine if the machine is able to mimic human answers better than humans. So the person will decide that okay, this machine has crossed that threshold and the machine is no more a machine, it is actually behaving like a human. That's fine. But the thing here is, whom did he pick in his experiment to compete with the machine? Who? A woman. Okay. So basically this technology, as it is evolving, it is actually targeting those sections, be it women, be it any other marginalized section, in the sort of vortex of divided in between class, gender, race. So it is targeting those things. Now people are getting much mature. they are questioning these things. People are actually finding that, okay, the algorithm is not so innocent. It actually brings so many things, in its decision making, which is motivated by its makers, people who are actually far more powerful, who are not actually thinking good of you. They might be, but mostly they don't. So to replace this Turing's imitation game, there is another concept called Voight-Kampff effect. Now this Voight-Kampff effect, it comes from Blade Runner film. Now in Blade Runner film, if you have seen what happens, that it's not only about whether machine is able to mimic human action or not. It is also about whether humans can actually empathize with those machines. So instead of just looking into the aspect of whether machine is actually playing as human far better than humans do, it's now the other way around. Machine is machine, but the thing to witness is now humans can make friends with those machines or not, whether they can empathize with such machines or not. Now, coming to trauma, there has been a dramatic change in the way trauma is experienced in the digital age. Now, I believe you all will agree with this thing. You see certain small changes are happening these days where something happens and people start posting it on Facebook or on social media, different platforms. And some people, they question, how can they do that? Like something has just happened or something is happening right now. We saw yesterday in the lecture I brought that how the barrage of images that we are thrown with, it is actually numbing us down. We are not giving the proper response to things the way they should be given. So it happens like in digital age, which is filled with all sorts of information. We want to be the first one to bring that information. We want, rather than processing the information, we just want to be part of that information, that it is flowing through us. So if something has happened with us, even if we are experiencing, you must have seen something like this, that okay, if there's a breakup, so the breakup happened 5 minutes back and the person is posting on Facebook, now I'm free. Something like that. Before it used to take a long time. People used to grieve for some period, 2 months, 6 months, a year or so. But now, the grieving period is getting shorter and shorter, much like our attention span. So, come to the third point here. Older models contended that grief takes the form of stages, like in the older ways. So, different stages of grief. Okay. So tasks or processes in a linear manner with the aim of reaching an endpoint. These theories describe closure as detachment from loss. Within the new paradigm, scholars posited grief as something that does not resolve by detaching from the deceased. Healthy grief, they argue, is rather experienced in creating a new relationship with the dead. So now even you can see even your cell phone carriers and cell phones also, like mobile phones, they also provide this facility that if somebody is dead in your family, so the phone can be passed on to you. Okay, iPhone can be given to you. You can unlock all those memories that the person carried. So it is not going to be buried with that person. You can carry on with those memories. Much the same, it happens on social media as well. People make different pages to commemorate the person, to grieve the person. Different people, again, like Amy brought that friend's example yesterday of Phoebe. There was another episode where Chandler, he wishes to see whether people how do they remember him, and not Chandler, Ross basically, and suddenly I think he posts something like that he's dead or something, and somebody turns up, some woman turns up, and he's happy, he's jubilant, and he comes out so they did all those things way back. Now it happens in reality that people, when they die, the loved ones, they try to keep the person alive through all the digital channels that they can. So there are digital traces, and the second point, posthumous memory work online, much like web memorials or profiles on social media, and after death communication. After death communication, in the sense that people they keep on engaging with the old posts. They keep on writing the messages. Still like posting on those on the past. Like say Facebook post or something, or on Instagram post. So this particular, I often bring this example. This is by Jennifer Parker Starbuck. This DNA structure, where she throws this idea that how like we have evolved with the technology. So like historically, technology and body, they were completely different, and body has been described in the form of subject, object, and abject. Subject, like what we are; object, what we wish to become; and abject is the discarded body. Same with technology: subject technology, object technology, and abject technology. Subject technology that we use with ourselves; object technology is something that maybe makes us to become something else. And the abject technology, like ropes and pulleys and something, like if theater is happening, so people don't care about those things. So those are abject technology. So as we progressed, we moved to the cyborg theater practices, where subject, object, and abject body and technology, they intermingled themselves, and we are actually in that phase, and we are moving slowly and steadily, and maybe it will get a little faster. You never know. Like again, the aspect of singularity, if it happens, if it ever happens. So we may become like cyborg subjects, where these subject, object, and abject identities are not going to be different, but they are going to merge as one. Now this movie is like one of the most, I would say, like philosophical films that I saw after young, in relation to AI, where like the AI, the old technology is dead, so to say, and people are actually grieving for it. There's a baby here, and father and mother, they're actually grieving for that particular technology. Now, this particular picture, if you see this image here, you can see that there's an essence of tree which has been carved out. It shows there might have been a tree there before, much the same, but now all that remains is the image. So it puts this question to us, this particular film, whether the relations that we are making is actually going to be real, or is it going to be something which is only simulated, nothing real about it, okay, something which is in our head. Now coming to the first film that I would analyze here is Being John Malkovich. This film, again, it doesn't deal with artificial intelligence per se, but it deals with something else completely. It deals with a character called Malkovich, played by Malkovich, and then there are other characters. There is this one person called Craig Schwartz. There is another woman like Maxine, and Craig Schwartz and Lotte, they are husband and wife, but Craig has a crush on Maxine. So he wishes to influence her, and maybe he wants to leave his wife. So one day he finds a portal in his office, and he goes through that portal, and he finds himself inside the head of John Malkovich. Okay, so he sees everything through the eyes of Malkovich, and he also experiences the same thing as the Malkovich is experiencing. So first I would like to show some clips, and then maybe we'll discuss. this is the opening of the film where you can see that this particular character, Craig Schwartz, he's basically like he's a puppeteer, and you can consider him more of a coder. Okay, so he's doing this kind of coding. He has this control over what he's like animating, animating his puppet. And again, when he finds out that there's a portal and he gets inside Malkovich, he sees this opportunity that I can use what I used to do before, and I can control maybe another being with intelligence. I'm not going to call Malkovich as a conscious being. I would just consider here Malkovich as another being who has intelligence. So he believes that he can subvert that intelligence, Malkovich's intelligence, and he can dominate his psyche. Okay.
Yeah, what's the file number? Yep.
Okay, so now what happens here that he brings other people as well. He finds this portal and he calls other people, and he starts making money out of it, and he sends those people inside the psyche of Malkovich. They go there, they can remain there for 10 to 15 minutes, and then they are thrown out through some other portal. It's a commentary on cinema. Again, it's a commentary on cinema, on the old technology versus new technology, the animatronics that is used in films versus like what is now happening in form of CGI. So it's a commentary on that, but we can also associate it with the current debates of artificial intelligence. So the dance of despair that that we just saw in the at the onset, that he's doing with the puppet. Once he's inside the body of Malkovich, he performs those stunts. Like he does those stunts himself, and he shows that okay, if you are capable enough, and you can control the psyche, you can manipulate the person in that sense. So he does that dance of despair, which is performed by Malkovich, but it is actually Craig Schwartz doing those things. Okay, so what happens when different people go inside him, they capture his psyche, they start to find something else in them. Like with Lotte, it happens that uh, she gets to know that she might be bisexual. She can also love women. And she eventually falls in love with Maxine. Maxine, she realizes that she too wants to be with a woman instead of the different men that she's dating. Then there are like a whole legion of people, you know, who get to know something about them. Now, you can say that it insinuates some kind of artificial consciousness in people who are using this technology. So with AI, I would say that not everything is going to be negative. There are things that could turn out to be positive for us. If we use technology, maybe it can help us to navigate through something that we have been facing in our life, certain trauma, certain aspects that we have been subverting. It might help us to mitigate those things. But then there are other sides as well. As like David Levi, he talks about that in future it might happen that robots who are with sufficient intelligence, they may cause sexual harm to humans. So that's why like in Europe there was a long discussion that went where it was talked about that these robots should be given the status of personhood. Now what will happen if you give machine the status of personhood? It would actually you know, free the insurance companies and you know, the companies who are actually making these machines. It would actually free them of any consequences. So if a machine is harming you, because it's a person, it can take its decision. So they have like they carry no liability. But it was stripped down. It was rejected. This aspect of personhood. Now there's a paper by Litska Strickwerda where she talks about what if a person, like the avatar of a person, is raped, is virtually raped, like, or if a person is virtually raped. So can a person can a person consider that act as heinous, as actually something traumatizing? So there's a concept by Dutch philosopher Huizinga, which is called magic circle. So it talks about that if something like whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, something like that. So if whatever is happening in that zone, in that virtual zone, it remains there, it has no consequences outside. But that's not what Strickwerda she proposes. She says that the act may fall under the purview of mens rea when its repercussions do not limit itself only to the virtual world. Rape should be deemed to have occurred not when the perpetrator understands the act as a rape, but when the victim in general would understand as a rape. So all these concepts, they will evolve with time. That the more we, like we were yesterday, we were talking about quantum cinema, that you know, as technology is evolving, it will happen that the subjective aspect and objective aspect will merge. We'll be in that virtual environment and we'll be outside the virtual environment and we'll feel both of them. So what if something happens with our avatar and we're actually experiencing those things? So these aspects will emerge as, like, the more we interact with technology in future, the more it gets better. So Roger Schank and Robert Abelson, they talk about scripts. So what is this script? It says that, okay, like when you go to a restaurant or when you go to a film theater, you follow certain scripts. When you go for a date, you follow certain scripts that, okay, you will meet the person, the other person, you will behave in certain such mannerism. If you do not do those things, it might be considered as basically uncultured, or you do not understand what's going around you. So humans, they follow a script. Now with AI, the thing is that it has all the data that is available on the internet. It is also studying humans. It is, you know, tailoring itself to our needs. So it has all those scripts, and it is better than humans in sort of preserving the information. So in future, it might happen that like we would be competing with AI in that sense. Um, so if an AI has scripts, so it is going to, like, it depends on the AI now, like what kind of decision it is making, say to behave with us. It could be something good, it could be something bad, it could bring certain aspect, or it can insinuate certain aspect in us, which might make us feel something better about ourselves. It can make us even feel bad, much like what happens in the film. If you watch the film, you'll see that, okay, in this film, different people, they start experiencing different things, and by the end, only Craig Schwartz, who believes that he's a complete person, in himself, he's the only one who is basically like he's a loser. He's deceived by his own ego, his own hubris. So moving on to the next film that I'll be discussing, but before that, I would like to show these few pictures here. So what do you think about these pictures? Are they real? Are they fake? If they are fake, so why do you think that they are fake? And if you feel that they have some semblance of reality, so why so? Any opinion? They all look fake, right? We can agree. They all look fake, isn't it? Yes or no? So why? It could be like old pictures, somewhere kept in between your book or your grandfather's book, and it is a little smudgy, maybe, the
Okay, so in the first picture on the right hand side, we can see the bars, like they're only half of them are printed, half of them are not. Like it looks like a glitch. And second, we can see the fingers and the arm, they are not defined. Even if it's an old picture, the finger should be defined on the child's hand. And the hair looks like there's a huge bald spot where it should not, that's not normal. And the person behind that child looks a lot like it looks like a horror character basically. That is like makes sense. It can be a human, but the way that person is standing and the way this everything is fixed out, it doesn't seem very like it's a real picture. Again, with the bar where the child is standing, there's a connecting bar which should have an ending of some point, but where exactly is it ending? It should like hurting the child. Like there's a lot of glitches. Maybe the two pictures, they feel like they could be real pictures. Like it's not completely, the perspective is not that clear, so they could have been real pictures.
Okay. Now I will tell the story behind these pictures. So it's these images they are not real, but they are of a woman who shared her story with domestic data streamers. Now they make such kind of pictures where they hear your story, hear about your memory, and they try to come out with a picture for you. So say you have something that you miss, maybe some aspect of your childhood, and you share those stories with these streamers. And these are not just it's not just one. There are many others who have come into the market who are making such kind of images. So this woman whose pictures I am showing here, she shared her story that she's actually remembering her mother and her father, and her she's a Spanish woman. Okay. So as a 6-year-old growing up in Barcelona, Spain during the 1940s, Maria would visit a neighbor's apartment in her building when she wanted to see her father. From there, she could try to catch a glimpse of him in the prison below, where he was locked up for opposing the dictatorship of Francisco Franco. There is no photo of Maria on that balcony, but she can now hold something like it, a fake photo or memory-based reconstruction. As the Barcelona-based design studio Domestic Data Streamers puts it, of the scene that a real photo might have captured. So what has happened here? I mean, it's a pleasant memory of father, but that father is like he's captivated. You know, he's like the girl child cannot meet, and that's how she remembers. It's a traumatic memory, but it is also a good memory because she used to go in something such kind of a balcony, and she used to watch her father. So now she has a photo. So the question is, AI is actually helping us, but can we consider it as help? The question is this. That's why I termed it as a synthetic memory. You know, whether these memories are real or not, whether these, like say, if internet is it's flooded with such kind of memories. So how are we going to decipher what is real and what is not? So there's a film called The Trouble with Being Born. It's a German-Austrian film. It's by a female director, Sandra Wollner. It's about a man called George, who is referred to as Papa in the film. So he has a robo, you can say, and that robo is basically is that of a teenage girl. Now that girl, he calls it Ellie. Now halfway through the film, Ellie escapes, that robo escapes, and it meets another old woman on the highway. Now this old lady, she turns that robo from Ellie to Emil because she sees the reflection of her lost brother, in that robo, and she starts training that bot in that sense. So this film is basically it's based sometime in future, but it's a blend utopia. Now what's a blend utopia? Like you might have seen the film Her. So Her is basically blend utopia. Nothing happens there. Nothing happens. Everything is going in a very easy manner. There is less drama. Everything is good. So it's a blend utopia. In the film, you'll be actually tortured. As like the film goes very slowly. It has a very its own pace. Now this film deals with many of the taboo topics that maybe we cannot discuss. Like say if it were a real film, it is a real film, but say with if you wouldn't have shown it, or the director wouldn't have shown it in the form of like a technology and humans. So it shows techno-pedophilia. Now what is techno-pedophilia? That George basically, he had, like you get this impression that he had some kind of relationship, some tabooed relationship with his child, his daughter, and one day she escaped. One day she left. He lives alone. So what he did, he went out and he got a bot that resembles to his daughter. Now he plays out the same story again and again. There's not just one bot. There are many bots in the film. You get this impression that while he's playing those stories, that he has some memory of some pleasant memory where he was there staying at some farmhouse with his child, and those were the golden days of his life maybe. So he's repeating those stories again and again. So I'll show the clip here and then we'll discuss.
Es riecht nach feuchtem Pilz. Meine Güte, ist das Unfall. 14 Uhr Straßen. Du bist da. Du bist da. Es sind Hunderte sein. Die Grillen sind so laut, dass ich nicht mehr schlafen kann. Es riecht nach feuchter Erde und Wald. Alle Blätter sind schon abgefallen. Dabei hat es
Titles
auch
seem
gerade
to,
erst
seem
angefangen.
to have cropped. I'll explain what's going on.
Und du bist da und wartest auf mich. Und ich habe eine Heuschrecke gefangen oder einen Käfer.
Was hast du da?
Eine Heuschrecke?
Zeig mal.
Okay. So you see, like it takes a little longer time than usual when you go and watch a film. The image comes slowly on the screen, as if like the machine is waking itself up. So it's about, again, you can say it's about cinema, but it is also about like machines. It starts in the jungle, much like some Adam and Eve story is going to be sort of reiterated. It's going to be told again. So this machine is coming through the nature, as if like something very organic is happening. Something that should happen, which is supposed to happen. And as the camera moves forward, you hear certain commentary, and you get this image that, okay, I mean, the usual shot that maybe the camera will go and it will stop at some place, and the character will emerge from the back, and you are actually hearing everything, getting the character's perspective. But suddenly you see, as the camera stops, somebody else comes from some other place, not from behind, and it suddenly detaches you as an audience that, okay, you are preparing yourself to immerse yourself in the story that you are going to see, but you get to know at the very early that this is something going to be very objective, in that sense that you are going to be detached from the story. And this happens throughout the film. The moment you start relating with any of the character, maybe or maybe even the bot, suddenly you are taken aback, and you are taken out of the story, and you start analyzing what is happening, what am I doing. You would think that this film is actually very slow in that sense. So this film puts this question, regarding the film review, I would just read a small portion. That this film, it inspires nothing but strange feelings, from unnerving horror to shocked admiration to visceral disgust to that specific type of disorienting nausea that comes from the fractional delay between your eye processing a well-composed image and your brain comprehending the implications of the actions so coolly depicted. So you can, that's what even the review is talking about, this particular detachment. So this film actually puts the question, this instrumental view of technology. Is technology out there just to serve us? Can we exploit technology? Now this is the question, Voight Kampf effect. Can we empathize with technology, the things that we are using? Or is it something like you are using your phone, so your phone is not you, so you can throw your phone and you can be easy about it? Can you throw your phone? I mean, that's the question. This particular quote is by Sandra Wollner, the director of the film, where she says that if you say the temperature of the film is not very warm and welcoming in a way, which I think it is true, it always was the trial to figure out how this entity would look onto our world, onto humans, and what could this perspective actually look like without the judgments and without the moral applications we have, that we certainly need them, but what would this look like? And that was basically we tried. And what she is basically talking about, that you see through the detached viewpoint of the machine. So there is this 4:3 ratio of the film. You can see the sidebars, and while looking at the sidebars, you get this sense that you are actually viewing everything from the machine's perspective and everything that is happening with it. So you question whether it is actually feeling something, or maybe, I mean, it is like nothing exists for it, and it is just playing out some role which has been fed by the data that has been fed to Ellie or to Emil. And for George and for the old lady, this particular technology, it works as nostophilic AI, which is you get nostalgic about certain things, but in a very pleasant way. Things that you remember, things that bring good memories to you. So they are actually dealing with trauma, like what happened with the old lady, that because of some fault of hers, her brother died in a very young age. The father, George, he has done some horrible things. We get this sense. Maybe he's trying to find out some answer. He's if you'll see, he would look to you a very good father. But in between, there are certain certain portions which are not shown in the film, but it hints at that something he's not a very good person. Maybe he's a good person when he meets outside, and that's what even people like David Levi and Stuart Russell, all these theories, they talk about, again bringing this instrumental view of technology, that it can mitigate some of those issues, that we can be bad with technology, but we can be good with people. If technology is helping us to be that good person, if it is bringing something good out of us, so why not? But should we be bad with technology? This is the question. Now I'll come to this question again in the end, when we'll be dealing with the third part, another series called Cassandra that I'll be talking about. But here, these are 4 images that I've taken. So this film again shows the first 2 pictures that if you see here, and those are different 2 pictures. So first 2, if you see, the film often focuses on fishes, fish, they're shown, or maybe even if AI is watching, this bot is watching, so it is watching about a woman is drowning and a fish comes around and looks at her. So fish, although they carry little intelligence, but then as it has been studied, they can also get depressed. So is the film hinting that the role that the machine is playing, it is getting depressed by those kind of performance? Is it hinting on those things? The other is just the opposite aspect. This is also what film projects, that you see that Papa is looking at the daughter. He has brought a new attire for her, and he wants to see her wearing that. So she wears, And you see that behind her there is a television screen, all black television screen. So is it like sort of implicating, is it some kind of entertainment which is going on? There is nothing else exists. You see the other, like the last image of Ellie, it also shows the same thing, like complete pitch darkness, nothing exists. So it shows that maybe what we are looking is maybe our own projection, nothing else. It is the human projection. Machine feels nothing. Maybe it is Papa who is depressed. Maybe it is the old lady who is depressed. Not the machine. But again, I mean, the film never answers completely. Now coming to the last part, the last analysis, which is of Cassandra. I hope you might have heard of this series. Again, it's a German sci-fi series. It shows, again, the premise is that there's a smart AI, you can say. Smart home is there, but an old home. So this smart AI was installed in that home during 1970s. So a family in the present time, they shift themselves in that old home, which is their new home, and they discover that, okay, it's a smart home. So they start this old technology, which is like, you can see this, whatever you want to call it, a bot, a fake machine, or whatever you want to call it. So it wakes itself up, and it's a woman basically filled with the memories of a woman called Cassandra, who used to live there in that particular house. And she does everything fine, early. But later on, she, like, this machine, I'm like, I don't know how to switch myself in between it and she, because, it becomes like, as you watch the show, you get the point of the machine that it is trying to make, but I would use she here. So she becomes very overprotective. She wishes to protect the kid. She wants to have those kids for herself. She wants to maybe have even the father, but not the mother. Because something else happened when Cassandra was actually alive, when the consciousness was transferred in the machine, something very horrible happened with her. But before that, like, again, somebody like who was talking about the smart devices, and Om Prakash sir, he also brought this aspect of Chat GPT, that we are interacting with, we do not know what is real, what is fake, and people are actually, they cannot decipher between their memories, the real memories and the fake memories. So there's a book by Yolande Strangers and Jenny Kennedy called The Smart Wife, where they have discussed about this aspect of what this smart basically means. Going back to the imitation game, where I talked about how, like, the machine is actually pitted against women. So here there's a quote, by smart, we mean AI, interconnected or robotic things. By wife, we refer to an enduring archetype in the collective psyche, one who can take on all forms of domestic work within the home, in the past and present. And at her most reduced, a wife has been both social construct and commodity, and viewed as the property of a man. Her roles include that of caregiver, housekeeper, homemaker, emotional laborer, provider of sexual services, and procreator of legitimate offspring. These roles are entrenched in thousands of years of patriarchy. So now when we are actually bringing out these machines, these smart machines, who are they replacing actually? And they also bring this point that the more technology evolves, it actually puts more burden on women. Like you have vacuum cleaner. Before, people used to do all sorts of chores. There were many people in the house, but now a woman is given a vacuum cleaner, and the helpers are removed. Now the woman is given a microwave and other stuff, so she has to cook, do all things by herself. So it actually, like, the more technology evolves, you can actually feel that this gravity of work is actually shifting towards more and more towards women and the marginalized section. So before I come to the other image. I would just show a small clip from Cassandra.
Du bist nicht ihre.
So there are two parts to Cassandra, like two stories that run. One is the story that runs in the present time, and one story runs in 70s with Cassandra's actual family. So the portion that you saw was of the contemporary time, where like she's actually threatening the family that okay, the father, the children, all of them, they should stay with her in that home. They should never leave. She will take care of them. She's obsessed with the idea of taking care of these people, and all she wants is to oust the woman who is in the house, which is the wife. Now, the portion that I am showing you is of the 70s, when Cassandra, like the consciousness of Cassandra was shifted, was given to the machine. So the child here, like the Cassandra's real child, he actually faced a lot of events like in his life, bad experiences in his life, and she used to protect him a lot. So, and then she had a girl, because of some bad decisions that the father made. The girl is like, she has some issues. Okay, she's like, her face is somehow disheveled, and he doesn't want her, like the father also wants to protect the girl, but he believes that if she goes out and if people get to know about her, she'll be not treated well. So it has some like the Hitchcock's what's the name? Hitchcock's psycho's element is there, but not in the form of mother, but in the form of the child. So I'll just show this clip and we'll move on to discuss the psycho part.
Er hat dich hintergangen, dein eigener Mann. Dabei
This
wolltest
is
du nur
basically the
das
end
Beste.
part of the show.
Ich habe trotzdem versagt. Das passiert mir nicht nochmal.
Denk daran, was dein Sohn gesagt hat. Das bist nicht du. Du bist keine seelenlose Maschine. Du bist all die Jahre eine gute Mutter gewesen. Kein Monster. Bitte tu das meinen Kindern nicht an. Bitte, komm an.
Ich hätte deinen Kindern nie etwas antun können.
Okay, so you saw that this woman was also hallucinating, like this machine was hallucinating. The same thing you will see in The Trouble with Being Born, where like one after another in different films, this aspect is now being brought up, whether machines can hallucinate or not. The film shows, this series shows, the film shows, and then there are many other films that also show that yes, machine can hallucinate. Much like Freud's missing writing pad, where you put different kinds of data, and when those data start to interfere, machine can hallucinate. So now the question is, when you feed machine the bad data, what kind of machine will it turn up? You know. So here in this series, this particular woman, Cassandra, she's so obsessed with the idea of protecting her children. So when she's turned into this machine being, this idea just goes along with that. So there was this one experiment that was done by some of the MIT researchers who, what they did, that they took all sorts of bad information that is there on the internet and they fed it to the algorithm, and then they just wanted to see like what kind of response is going to come from the AI. So this AI basically became psychotic. Okay, so they named this AI Norman, which is a character from Hitchcock's Psycho. And again, if you haven't seen Psycho, I am not going to spoil anything, but it has some resemblance with what you see in Cassandra. Okay. Now, to the last part, what can AI actually do for us? So, yes. So what can AI do for us? So there is this experiment by Caesar and Louis. These are two artists, like who go on presenting their their artwork in different art installations, and they have created this biobrid agent, which is based on this fungi that grows on basically books, which is called Physarum polycephalum. Okay. Now this, like you must have seen that in, like if you open any old book, you will see that it is covered with old fungi. It is all around, it has its own path, its own way, how it spreads. So what they did, that they made their AI learn from this fungi, and then they left it on the internet to see how it is interpreting the data that is there on the internet. So it started spreading itself much like the fungi, and it started erasing the words, So and there's this, like if you Google or you just YouTube it, so you'll see that Caesar and Louis, they do this experiment with some of the volunteers, where they show that, okay, the data is erased now, not completely erased, but in between something is gone. Now interpret your work, your favorite work. Now those people, they need to rely on their memory as to what they had all observed. So AI, if it is fed only with the human data, human memory, it can turn out to be something like maybe Cassandra. It can turn out to be something like Norman AI. But the chances are, if you spread it around, make it learn from other things as well, non-human intelligence, the chances are maybe it is going to be therapeutic for people. It shows that, okay, once the data is gone, people are actually relying, and they face this threat, what they actually believe, that what if the data is gone one day? What if something is not there? How am I going to cope up with that event? Not that AI is doing this here. Humans have also done this. This is the image, that's how you see the way fungi spreads itself. So on internet, when they leave, it leaves its mark much like this. So humans have also done this thing. So while for a brief period, when I was at Goethe Institute, Goethe University, I saw this mural, and I found this mural very beautiful. But then I saw that, okay, I mean, you can see the cracks here and there, So it always made me curious as to how it happened. So I was told about its history, that this mural, it was covered by the Nazis. It's a mural by George Heck, and this particular work by Caesar and Lewis, it is called Degenerative Culture, and this particular work is known as Degenerate Mural. Why so? Because when Nazis, they covered it, so Americans, when they came later on, they thought that, okay, they found this particular mural, but they thought that there is something more inside, so they started excavating. And once they realized that no, nothing is there inside, so they started to cover this up, and that's how it was already distorted, but then I mean, the distortion grew more. So humans have done that, but now when you see this picture, you actually remember something of the past that was so beautiful. So AI, humans have done that. Humans have been horrible. So even if some horrific things are being done by machine, maybe it can help us to become more human. It can help us to cope with maybe whatever wrongs we are doing, or maybe we are facing, whatever traumas we are giving and we are facing, maybe it can help us to cope with them. With that, I would just conclude. If you wish to know a little bit, I'm going to advertise a little bit myself. So if you wish to know about these things, so there's a book of mine that came this year. You can you can find it on major platforms. Buy that. Give me some royalty. Thank you.